Preparing to live stream. All right, here we go. Going to start in just a few minutes, and while we're waiting for that, I will just show our awesome creative test that we had from this last week, I believe. As soon as I can get it to there it is. Find the correct tab. Is that the correct tab? I don't think that's the correct tab. Maybe we'll do this tomorrow when I organize my tabs a little better. Okay, yeah, so sorry about that. Hi, Jeff. How's it going? Hope your class is doing fantastic today. All right, I guess we can start now since it took about a minute for me to mess up the sharing the creative tasks. But yeah, let's just get into it. Teachers, thank you everyone for joining. Teachers, you can ask questions in the chat that your students might have. We'll answer them for you guys. To get started, we're just going to start with a pre-prepped question of why did you choose? Oh, wait, I am not following our process today. First introduction. So I'm a staff member for CS Academy. I've been a staff member for 1.5 years and worked on the project since its beginning for over 3 years now. You want to introduce yourself, Lisa?
Hello, I am Lisa. As said, oh, I have a background now. Okay, that's weird. Anyway, I am a senior in computer science, minoring in game design, and I joined the project I'm pretty sure my sophomore summer. So I don't know how long it's been. That's like math. But yeah, I work on the content team. So basically, I create content and do whatever Elliot tells me to do. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'm Gavin, junior studying statistics and machine learning here. I've been on the project since I think the summer before my sophomore year, so like a decent amount of time. I also work on content with Lisa, and on top of that, outreach, so doing stuff like this. If you guys look at our YouTube channel, there's also a video up that we posted recently for the creative task submissions that we voted on. I put that together. And besides that, also I look at some data for stuff on the team sporadically. So yeah, those are my main responsibilities.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a sophomore studying biology with a minor in computer science. I joined CS Academy over the summer, so I'm pretty new. I've been mostly working with teacher support and outreach, so that means I helped run a lot of professional development for teachers over the summer. And currently I'm pretty involved with like social media outreach. So you'll probably see my unit review videos are up on the YouTube channel. And we're working on these Scotty Scribbles, which are meant to be fun little dives into different CS concepts. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Okay, so now I believe we can get into the question to start us off. So the question is, why did you guys choose to go to CMU? And I think Lisa can start this question off first.
Okay. So for me, I guess there's a little bit of a story in the fact that when I was younger, like I was always really into like creative arts. Like I really liked music and then like art and then writing. And I went through lots of phases of being like, oh, I want to do all these random things. But my family was very much like, you should go into STEM because like STEM is good and engineering and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, like biology and chemistry and physics are interesting, but I don't want to spend all day like solving physics problems because like some people that's great for them, not for me. And I was like, okay, what am I gonna do now? So I think in high school, in my freshman year, basically we had this 21st century class that we had to take, and like it was basically on various different topics, and I ended up in the one about programming. So I went in and I was like, okay, this is terrifying. Why am I doing this? My parents kind of forced me to do this and choose this one, but I guess it is what it is. So then we started with the whole like hello world thing, and then it was magical because like you just typed it in and pressed enter, and then it appeared, and I was like, whoa, it's magic. Yeah. So then in the rest of the year, we just made like a lot of games, and like I'd spend all my time when I wasn't working on other homework just like adding power ups that were like really small and like, but they're just fun. So like it was just like a really fun time. So I was like, okay, you know what? I can do CS and do the STEM thing and also do creative things, and it's great. So yeah, from there, when I was applying to colleges, I was like, okay, I need to find a good CS school. So obviously CMU came up with that. There's also a few others, but I think what made me choose CMU was a few things, but the first one being like the Ideate program. The Ideate program is about like interdisciplinary, so like not just doing like CS and math, but also combining that with other things like art. And like my minor game design is under this because it's combining like everything from coding to art to writing and all these things. There's like learning media and things like that. So like basically there's a lot of focus on interdisciplinary work, which I found really cool. So like there was that, which was like okay, plus for CMU. And the other thing was just when I talked to some other people that like had gone here, and then when I like asked to meet some of the college students, that's weird. Okay. Anyway, when I asked to meet some of the college students, like they had mentioned how like I was worried that it would be very competitive and like there wouldn't be a lot of support, but I found like they all mentioned how like there's a lot of sense of collaboration, especially like if you really find like friend groups that you fit with, then like after a time like you find a lot you can definitely find people that will work on building yourselves up rather than being like, oh no, I need to like do better than you and all that stuff. So like there's a lot of support, and there's a lot of like even from like advisors and whatnot, there's a lot of like talk about how like it's okay to fail. It's okay to like get C's because that's perfectly fine. C's get degrees. It's fine to like fail a course and retake it. Like they'll make sure we get through. So like especially at CMU, it's about making sure everyone gets through this program rather than like weeding people out and being like, oh, we need to get less people and all that stuff. So yeah, that's the long story of why I chose CMU.
All right, cool. Yeah, I can go next. So yeah, I think I guess a lot of what Lisa touched on is kind of like resonating with me too. Like all of the schools that I applied to, I kind of had in mind wanting to have some STEM focus, just because I guess I wasn't brave enough to take the leap of like broke artist trying to be an author or something. So I still wanted to just have that safety net of a good job, and that's one reason I went for statistics and machine learning. Is I guess like I was interested in, to some extent, like most of the math and STEM courses in high school, but like not one leaped out over the others, I guess, like chemistry versus bio versus physics. Um, and statistics is just kind of a field that you can apply to most things, right? So I was like, I could end up working anywhere from doing stats, just at a desk job at like an accounting firm if I really sell out, or I could be like working for a political campaign or working for a nonprofit. So that's what kind of drew me to CMU. And also, my sister went here, so that definitely helped in the decision. But in most of the schools that I applied to, that was kind of my thought process was, yeah, just like combining STEM with going to a school where I can also study humanities on the side. That's something that kind of, admittedly, I guess I strayed away from. The culture here definitely does like pull you towards that CS, and like really, I don't know, it just kind of dominates a lot of the stuff at the school. And I did fall for that. But more recently, I've been kind of going back to my, when I came here initially, I wanted to do just stat ML, which is actually one major, even though it sounds like two things. It's actually like a 3-year degree. And then I wanted to do like history on the side. And then I strayed away from that. But more recently, I've been kind of going back to it. I'm taking like a mini right now on American religion and American politics. And I've been enjoying it a lot. So yeah, just like the interdisciplinary aspect of CMU, like Lisa said, was a big draw for me as well.
For me, I think it's a little bit different. I'm studying biology, which isn't, I guess, the big name brand associated with Carnegie, or very much engineering, CS, ML, all that good stuff. And and I applied here kind of on a fluke. I had a friend who went here and he really liked it, but he was studying math and philosophy, which is very different from biology. But I applied here kind of on a fluke, wasn't expecting to get in, got in. I was like, well, I guess I should probably actually look into what this school has to offer. And I think I went into the college process with this firm belief that all I'm going to do is biology. I'm going to do really like just straight science. And I wasn't really interested in anything else. And I was like, oh yeah, I know all the fields that there ever were. I got this. It's biology for me. But out of all the other colleges I applied to, this one felt like it would push me the most out of my comfort zone. It had a core curriculum that made me take things that I otherwise wouldn't. And it was partially my parents and my peers going, you shouldn't just like box yourself in. You're in high school. You have no actual career experience, so calm down. So I guess it was kind of a risk, but I ended up coming here. And I guess it worked because I did find out that biology isn't the only thing in the world that I find interesting. I'm trying to pick up more CS. I'm also trying to I really like history. I really like art and stuff. I'm not artistic. I have no artistic talent, but I find art and history very interesting. So I think that I took a bit of a risk by coming here, but I think the payoff has been pretty big because I found quite a lot of extra things that I wasn't really expecting to fall in love with.
Yeah, I definitely didn't consider myself an artist either, but if any of you end up taking AP CSP, you can peep my koala wizard hat exercise. Just putting that out
there. Thanks for that CSP shout out, Gavin. All right, next question. What are some things that you do at CMU that aren't coursework and CS Academy? So extracurricular type stuff.
I guess we can start from me and work our way backwards. So I do a bunch of stuff all over campus. I'm involved with DS, which is Dancer Symposium. So it's kind of like a bunch of different choreographers who are also students get to like create a piece, and then a bunch of different people can audition, and they're like, oh, I think the vibe of this person or the skill level of this person best fits my piece. And then you kind of just practice, and it's super fun. And we get put on like a big, what's the word? Like performance at the end of the semester, and it's super, super fun. I'm also involved with Jewish life on campus. So if any of you are familiar, there's a lot of Jewish organizations associated with colleges, so Hillel and Chabad. And another really big thing for me is res ed, or residential education, which is our fancy way of saying that I'm an RA. I live in dorms, and I help little freshmen as they enter college and help them avoid the pitfalls that I fell into rather. So I'm pretty involved with running events for my freshmen. So we had like a pumpkin carving for Halloween. We have like reverse trick-or-treating where we like deposited candies into everyone's like bags they have outside their rooms. So yeah, those are the big things I'm involved with.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot. I'm next. I guess I'm kind of a lame-o. I don't do too much stuff outside of CS Academy. I am in one club, that Tech Knowledge, which is like a tutoring group where we use CS Academy for it, which is how I got into CS Academy actually. Otherwise, I tried to sign up for club tennis this year, but I guess I chose the wrong year to start trying to actually do stuff. They just ghosted me. They sent out something on a Facebook group, like asking people to apply. And I was like, all right, let's try to actually branch out. And then I just never got an email back. So yeah, sad reacts. Other than that, I mean, I do a lot of like guitar more recently. I used to mainly just play video games, but I've been trying to get cooler hobbies, I guess. So yeah, I'm playing a lot of guitar, and I've always read a lot. So that's some of the stuff I do.
Yeah, so it's my turn. I feel like I'm the inverse in the fact that, like, especially in the COVID, like in this year, I started playing video games more. But anyway, that's besides the point. I think for me, this isn't as much this year, but like in sophomore year and junior year, a big part of my life that wasn't schoolwork was volume. It's basically, yeah, ballroom dancing, like waltz, tango, all those things you hear about. We basically learn how to do those, and we also compete at competitions, which is fun. So I basically learned how to both follow and lead, i.e., do all the parts of like 12 different dances. And yeah, that basically consumed my life. I went from like doing like in freshman year, it wasn't very smart, but I didn't really do much because I was like, oh no, I'm stressed about school and all that. And then suddenly in sophomore year, I was spending 20 hours a week on ballroom, and I was like, how am I doing this? But apparently it worked out. So magic. Sometimes it's like that. But yeah, I think that's a big part of my life. Besides that, what else do I do? I do some game creation stuff. So like, there's a game creation society club which I had was in like a little bit in my freshman year, but nowadays I just do like projects sometimes with my friends. If like anyone's like, oh, I need something, and I'm like, okay, I can help out. So that's kind of like sometimes what I do. Yeah. Recently, I think I've also been trying to learn how to compose music a little bit. Oh, that's mainly just me playing around on a keyboard, being like, "Ah, this sounds nice." But wow, this sounds horrible. What am I doing? But yeah, I suppose that's been the things I can think of off the top of my head that have been my life. Yeah.
Now, with all of those things that you do, how do you actually balance all your work that you have? Because being a CMU student is pretty difficult. There's a lot of work involved. Uh, so, how do you balance all the work, all of your activities, and also social life while in college? And Lisa, we'll start with you since we're doing reverse
Okay.
ordering.
So we're just gonna go back and forth. Anyway, so for me, I will admit I've always been a little bit more on the academic side. So like it tends to be the academics is my priority, so I do more of that than anything else. But I found like when I joined ballroom, since I was part of a club, I was like, oh, I want to meet people. So I was like, I guess I should go to the event. So that kind of became one of the things in my mind that I like committed to. So like once I commit to it, I feel bad not doing it. So like it forced me in a way to like make time for like kind of just doing these other things that weren't just schoolwork and like working. So I think that was a big thing. Besides like having schedules, using like recently, like this year and last year, I started using Trello, which is basically a I don't know, like app, website, whatever you call it, that like allows you to like put tasks that you need to finish and like mark down when you finish them. All that stuff. So I started using that. I started using my actual Google Calendar and was like putting like meetings and all that stuff in so I can keep track of my life. So that was a big thing. And I think the biggest thing for me though was social and academics kind of started to mix together a big part of it, especially because like in when you're in college, you can literally just be like, hey, friend, let's go walk on this for like the next 5 hours because we are both struggling and nothing makes sense, but at least we'll be together, so it's fine. So then like we can just meet with our friend and spend like all night sitting in one of the buildings and like half struggling, half like just playing around and having fun. So like that was a very big part where I just like how to spend time with friends just doing schoolwork, and yeah, that is what I do.
Yeah, I think definitely the I guess joint struggle slash socializing thing is a big thing at CMU. I don't know if it's as big at other colleges, but definitely it's like pretty normal at this school just to like reach out to somebody randomly in a lecture and just be like, yeah, I mean, we're both struggling. Let's at least I don't know, try to see if two brains can like figure this out. I don't know. But otherwise I guess something I do is like just I've gotten better since I've gotten here about scheduling stuff on Google Calendar as well. And then also just like breaking up, not like just working for 10 hours straight because you're just not going to be as productive doing that. But like actually like doing the, I think it's like 25 5-minute rule. I'm pretty bad about actually having a set timer for it. So it turns from like 25 5 to like 25 25 or something, but whatever. I'll just work and yeah, like play guitar, watch YouTube videos even. Just breaks are important. So maybe be better than me about keeping a time frame, but do definitely take breaks.
Just real quick to clarify what 25/5 is. It's 25 minutes of working and then 5 minutes of resting. Just to make sure everyone is on same page as to what that is. All right, Emily, if you have a response.
Yeah, nothing too much different to add, to be honest. I'm like a pretty obsessive calendar. I have a Google Calendar that I always have going. I also have like a notebook where I write like my plans for the day. So I often like plan out my day the night before. That way, when I like open it, because Emily the day of can think of like 80 different excuses of why she shouldn't finish the assignment she has today, and just like procrastinate on it. But yesterday, Emily decided that needs to be done by 2 p.m. today. And somehow that works. My brain is just like, all right, I guess this gets done by 2 p.m. today. Yeah, and I think the working together thing is like my saving grace personally. I realized that sitting alone in my room is like really sad. Like for today, for example, I like 5 of my friends, all of us in different classes, we were like, it's kind of okay outside. We just want to sit outside and work there. And then we worked for like 6 hours. And 6 hours with other people is incredibly much more like just nice than just sitting alone in your room for 6 hours, even if it's just everyone typing on your computer, look up, yeah, and then back to typing. Like it's just human interaction is pretty cool. So I would pretty much say same as Lisa and Gavin.
All right. The next question has to do with classes at CMU. So what are your guys' favorite classes that you've taken at CMU and why?
I'm still a little baby. I'm only a sophomore, so I haven't taken too many exciting upper level classes. But if I had to point one class out, it would probably have to be, which sounds very bizarre, but the required writing class that all freshmen have to take. It was like assigned to me. I had no say over what topic was discussed, and we ended up getting the topic called work, which I could try to describe, but it's just more easy to explain as an existential crisis for a whole semester. We talked about why do humans have jobs? Why is work so integrated into our society? Why do we work? What is a job? Why is money involved in jobs? And it went from just like actual, just us discussing and like talking about how our families talked about jobs to us, to like reading like pretty intensive literature from like different ends of the political spectrum, from different sides of economic beliefs, social beliefs. And it was super, super interesting and forced me to really rethink my priorities for what I wanted to see in my life. Because like I said, I went into college with this really firm one track about how I was going to get to a job. And after that class, I didn't feel that way anymore, which sounds scary. And it is still really scary to not have a path that I'm following constantly. But by not having that path anymore, I'm able to branch out, to do things that make me happy, and to take the time to reflect and make the correct decisions I want for my life. Again, this got really existential super quick, but the point is that my favorite class ended up being the lame required freshman writing class.
Yeah, I think definitely gen eds at CMU can be pretty fun. One of the most enjoyable classes for me was invented languages, which was not like I guess required for everybody, but there's like a bunch of different electives you can take for communicating within the college I'm in. So I got to put my J.R.R. Tolkien on, I guess, and pretend I'm in the Lord of the Rings and invent a language of my own, which was really cool. It's called Lorelei. Yeah, you could pretty much go about it however you wanted. I think like one other student invented like a language for like fish people that were living in like an Atlantis sort of situation. Mine was more humanoid, but yeah, it was just a good exercise in creativity, and I guess like a good example of how CMU can be pretty interdisciplinary.
So I guess that leaves me. Wow, I guess I'm old now because I'm a senior. That's so weird. Anyway, but so now I'm kind of torn between two classes. I think the one that pops up first, though, since I'm taking it right now, is Introduction to the 3D Animation Pipeline. So in this class, we literally go from like nothing to like having your own character and like having a short like animated like almost anime film of it. And like literally, it's just like really cool to just be like, hey, I have this random idea of this character, and then be able to like you model it by yourself, you texture it, you UV map it, and then you like actually do like the animation, the rigging, all that stuff. Probably most of this doesn't make sense, but in other words, basically you go from like nothing to creating something that you can say is completely yours. And that's like really cool. Also, the teacher in the class has worked at Disney and Pixar, so I'm just like, oh, magic, really cool person. So that's also really cool. Then also the what Emily said reminded me though about a second class that I really liked, which I guess is kind of cheating on the favorite thing, but it's fine. But there's a class that's called capitalism and individualism in American culture. And that's also kind of about like work, but it was a lot about like the history and like the idea of like work and our identity and how they're like, especially nowadays, kind of intertwined. And that one was a really interesting class. That was also like constant existential crisis, but I really liked that class. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. With what Gavin had said, Gen Eds at CMU are shockingly more entertaining than the STEM classes, even for STEM people. It's really interesting. Yeah. Anyway, next question I have here is more for Lisa and Emily. What is it like to be a female in STEM at CMU?
So this is the one question that the worst at answering because I never really noticed that there was supposed to be a difference between like female, like being a female versus not being a female, like in STEM. Because in my high school, at least, I guess I'm always kind of oblivious anyway, so I just didn't notice anything. But like, it wasn't obviously enough, like in any of my classes, that like there was like more guys than girls, or like vice versa. So I wasn't ever like super influenced by it. But I guess the one thing that I can say is like, I don't know if this is even a CMU thing, but I know that like coming in, this is something that me and a lot of my friends have faced. There's a lot of like, it's very easy to fall in the self-doubt hole of like, oh, I got into CMU because I'm female. Because like the whole like to maintain the 50-50 ratio. I think that was something that like throughout my years like has been something that I've like struggled with. But it's also really nice in the fact that like at CMU you're all surrounded by so many other people that like are like supporting you and kind of trying to show you that like no, it's not just because of like your like female that you got in. There's a reason why like you were still chosen. And it's like kind of funny how like sometimes me and my friends would go into like kind of complimenting wars where we're like, no, you're really awesome because of all these things you do. And then the other friend would be like, no, but you're also because of this other thing. So like we just kind of build each other up. So it's like really nice. Yeah.
I also don't have a super specific, I guess, answer to this. It's more of just a vibe, which is take that for what you will. I didn't do any CS in high school at all. It was available to me and I had the option to take it. It was very accessible, but for some reason, I just decided that I was not cut out for it. There's no reason why I decided I wasn't cut out for it. I just assumed, oh, it's more math and I'm bad at math. And I wasn't that bad at math. I just gotten myself in this mindset that I really wasn't good enough to try this new field. And this, I digress a little bit, but I always like to bring this up because I think it's really interesting. But when female and male students were studied, like if they were given a really hard test in a really hard class, females are more likely to drop the class after one bad test grade, while males were more likely to continue. Something that it's really ingrained in, I think, females that we have to work hard and that gets us places, but males are just already good enough. Like their success is attributed to ability, women's success is attributed to hard work. And I didn't want to take a subject that I would fail because it kind of hurts. It kind of hurts to fail and do poorly. But I had to take CS in the school, and thank goodness I did. But when I first entered that big auditorium of like a few hundred people, I didn't think about it, but I did notice that I wasn't the only girl in the class. I did notice that maybe it was because it was required, but it definitely felt much better because I feel like being the only female in a room gives you this pressure that you have to represent your group, your fellow females, I guess. And if you mess up, you'll be that only girl in the class, plus you're not good at CS. So ha ha ha, you're double bad. So I would say for me, it's more of a subconscious thing, the feeling of inferiority. But the fact that I'm surrounded by a lot of other really exceptional women, that like every day I am so honored, impressed that I'm like even allowed to like hear the words coming out of their mouths. So I think the fact that I'm not alone has really helped more than I could understand until I had like took the time to reflect on it.
Yeah, thank you both. Now our next question, we're going to transition a little bit away from life at CMU, talk more about prepping for college and any advice that you guys have for that. And the question that we'll start there is, what was the most helpful activity that prepared you for college?
I guess that's me. I don't think I can point to any one specific thing that helped me become ready for college. I think there's nothing really that prepares you for college. It's a very odd experience. It's like going to summer camp, but it's really hard summer camp, and also everyone is in like it's very, very bizarre. You really don't understand what it's like until you're on campus and in your classes and living where you also attend school. But I think something that really helps me is, well, I wouldn't really readily admit it, but my high school pushed me quite a lot, whether I liked it or not. And I fell on my face a lot, metaphorically. I fell flat on my face pretty often. I did poorly in classes. I did very poorly in classes. I found things that I was awful at. I learned that, okay, this is not what I want to do. And I think that falling flat on your face and being okay with it is, first of all, I'm still not perfect at it, and I don't think anyone truly is, but falling flat on your face a few times before college, I would say is the most helpful experience, if you could even call it that. But being able to fall flat on your face and learn from it, or get up and try again, or understand that, okay, maybe this isn't what I want to do, maybe this isn't the right approach, whatever it may be, is, I guess I would have to say, is my answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a amazing like single instance either, but I would like kind of just agree with everything said, especially like being willing to fall flat on your face. I'd say in high school I was definitely more resistant to just try new experiences and like go outside of my comfort zone, which is something that I wish I did. So yeah, to all you high schoolers, maybe just take that chance, find a talent for the talent show. I don't know, but yeah, there's a lot of things that I missed out on, I feel like, and a lot of things that I could have learned from that would have been helpful in college, because once you are on your own in college, that's where you just have to learn. So getting some more of those experiences and being willing to take risks is something that's really important. Yeah.
It's like for me, I just have to kind of second or third what everyone else is saying in the fact of like failing. I know like in my senior year, I was taking this class with this one teacher he's kind of weird, but like it was basically a class where he decided that like we should all like we kind of had a self-study half the class also. I don't know why, but yeah. And also like on his tests, like all of us would get like 50s or below. So basically it was like, yeah, we were forced to learn like failing is okay, and like to like not get discouraged by that. And I think that's like it's really hard not to get discouraged, but like learning what you need to do in the sense of like when not just going to other friends, when not that's just like finding like looking for other things that inspire you, like basically finding that thing that like helps you, especially when you're going through those tough times where you're like, because in college especially, like you will fail a lot, or I mean, I guess if you're lucky you might not, but like at least for me, I failed so many times. My exams are like big rips, but like it's okay because like there's a lot of just learning how to like find your sources to like make you not happy but like keep going. I think that's a very big thing. I do also agree with the Gavin's point. I definitely was a lot more resistant to like messing up and failing in high school, which I've learned. This is actually something I learned through college, is the fact that like it's an important thing to do, and like it's actually like a good thing, especially when you're in high school because you have lower stakes. Like if there's ever like great times to fail, it's like high school and college because like they're all lower stakes. Like I know like when I right now I'm on a board for a club and I was like, oh no, I'm like horrible at this. I don't know what's happening. And my sister was like, yeah, well that's okay. At least this is only a club in college. It's not gonna matter after you graduate. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good point. And she's like, yeah, so you know, just do it. If you mess up, that's fine. I mean, people might be angry at you, but you're not gonna see them probably after like a year, so it's fine. So yeah, learning to take risks and learning to fail is good things.
Yeah, and just for everyone listening out there, when they say fail, they do mean fail. It's quite common for exams at CMU to have averages below 60%, and sometimes in the 20 to 30%, depending if you're taking especially difficult classes. So they do mean fail. um, all right. So next, how about what advice do you have for high school students preparing to apply for college? So specifically about the application process.
I suppose it's my turn. Um, I feel like I had something last time to answer this question and I forgot. Okay, one thing I do remember is starting early tends to be good in a sense of like, for me, I started thinking about it, I think in junior year, like, actually, this is actually something that was brought to me that I kind of didn't do, but I wish I had done when I was coming to time of just like keeping track of like things that you do, like in high school, like things that like moments that like you're proud of, or moments that like you were very emotional, like big issues that you faced and like overcome, or like maybe didn't quite overcome, but like all that stuff, like keeping track of those moments, I think, and that way like you have that content you need when you actually have to like write these random essays asking about like these random things, whatever. So like I think that was a big thing. So like I started, I think, drafting and writing them probably not January, June. That's the thing, June and like July. So that really helped. So that like I didn't have as much like writing to do, like when it came to like the time that I had to apply to everything. The other thing is researching your schools actually is something that I wish I'd done more, but like at least I did some of it, which is good. But like it does actually matter, like for instance, big school versus small school. Like when I talk to my other friends, I realize like I'm having such a different experience in them. Like one of my friends is in like a state college, not state college, well, you know, big university basically. And like she's like her classes are like really differently structured than ours. And I was like, whoa, that's like very interesting. So like all of these little things that like you're like, oh, I don't really care about them. I just want to go to good school, whatever. They all like are still important because it's about your experience rather than like, yeah, whatever's the best school. So it's more like, what do you fit well in? Like for me, I know like I'm not the best in super competitive environments. I would just like crash and burn and probably like shut down. So like that's why for me though, was kind of paying attention to what not people mentioned like, is this super competitive or like do people try and build each other up? So that was a big thing. I think the last thing was just when you are like applying and also like potentially getting like rejections or acceptances, like not to take them personally because they're not like a measure of like how intelligent or how good or any of that. Especially like, so one kind of funny story, I don't know, is my sister, for instance. So she got rejected from everything she applied to except for MIT and Caltech. So like she was applying to just like some like state things and just some like random like mid-tier or whatever you want to call them. And like they all rejected her. And she was like, wow, what is happening? And then MIT is like, ah, yes, I'll take you, even though no one else would. So like that's why I'm really saying like it doesn't really say anything about like how good or smart or anything like that you are. And like, yeah, sometimes it's just a matter of like there is some luck in the sense that like maybe you got noticed and maybe you didn't. And like there is all that to it. So like trying not to take it personally is a very big thing, even though it's a really hard thing to do because I know I was definitely upset. But just remembering like it's not reflecting who you are and there's still other options even if you don't get into the school you want. So yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely expand upon the point of, I guess, not sweating tests too much. Like, obviously, I'm not saying don't study for your SATs or don't challenge yourself in classes, but at the end of the day, it's like just one variable that colleges are going to consider, right? So there's the qualitative stuff, what you do with your life, outside of school and then there's school. But the difference between those two variables is like in 10 years, you're hopefully not going to still have like any dedicated part of your brain to what your like science ACT score was. Like I really, really hope not. It's the stuff you do outside of school, the stuff you do with your friends, the stuff you do to challenge yourself, the stuff you do that you love that like is going to stick with you. So, I mean, I'd rather write a really good essay and like do all the stuff leading up to a good essay for college than get a perfect SAT score. And I probably didn't do either of those things, but I mean, what can you do?
I was just going to build off of what Lisa said. I think one of the things that I think everyone underestimated is getting their priorities straightened out for what they want out of a college. We just kind of get thrown things at us and we have to make a pretty big life decision at a very young age. So you just hear like, oh, Harvard's a good school. I guess I'll apply to Harvard. But what do you actually know about Harvard? Do you know anything about how their classes are structured? This is just a random school I'm pulling out of thin air. But the point is, you really don't know what you want unless you like sit down and really think about it. And it's hard to be like, oh, but this school has great academics for what I want. Why should I care if it's in the middle of nowhere? Well, maybe you will be immensely sad and just not happy. Yeah, opposite of sad is not. Yeah, anywho, other words for sad, I guess. But you need to be in an environment that is conducive to your learning. And if being in the middle of nowhere is not conducive to your learning, don't apply there. It just won't work out well for you. And then you'll maybe if you get accepted, you'll have to be forced to make even more complicated decisions. Make sure you talk to people who go to those schools. I think I underestimated that. And once I got rejected from a bunch of schools, I actually ended up speaking to some people, and maybe there's some psychological principle at work, but they pretty much helped me feel a lot better that I didn't get accepted. Like one of my dream schools rejected me and I was like, this is it. I am not worthy. And then a friend of mine who went there is like, hey, I can't talk to anyone about work because they will make fun of me or try to steal my notes or try to like compete for the number 1 spot because we have rankings. And I'm like, never mind. I would have been eaten alive there. I shouldn't have applied to begin with. So try to have your priorities straightened out super early, which is really scary to do. And sometimes like maybe they don't align with what your parents want. Maybe they don't align with what your friends want. And maybe there might even surprise you as what you thought you wanted, but it's definitely worth the time. And it'll probably help you weed out a lot of schools, to be honest. So you don't end up applying to like 25 schools, which I know people that did that. Don't do that. Don't apply to 25 schools.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we're gonna transition a little bit here, talk more about CS Academy as a project. We're gonna start with the question of, so why did you guys join the CS Academy team?
So I was taking a class that's our intro level coding class at CMU because I was forced to. And again, like I said, went in with a pretty closed mind. I was like, oh, I have to do this stupid core class. Grr, I don't want to do coding. Coding's boring. And I loved the class. It was actually so much fun. It was so difficult and so far out of my comfort zone, but just every single assignment I finished felt that much sweeter and better. I was like, wow, I cannot believe I did not do this in high school. Why did I not do this in high school? And towards the end of the semester, one of the professors put out a post on our like school page or like class page. It's actually Professor David Cosby. He's one of the co-founders of CS Academy, and he's like, "Hey, this organization that I have is looking for people to work on expanding the curriculum, working with teachers." I was like, "Well, I really wish I had more access to this in high school." But I did have access, and the only person I can blame for is myself. But there's a lot of communities and people and high schools that do not have access to this type of curriculum. And it's really, really sad because, first of all, CS needs more people, always. It is constantly an expanding field. And 2, those two eye things, whatever. I just really wanted other people to find the passion that I found in CS, which I wasn't really expecting until I was kind of forced to do it. So I ended up applying, and I honestly found it to be better than what I had hoped for. I really, really love teaching. I did a lot of tutoring, a lot of work with like young kids, like middle school kids, high school kids, in high school, and I love teaching. I don't know where that's going to take me in life, but I love it. So kind of being on the more big picture end of it, working with like, what is the next curriculum going to look like? How can I help a teacher explain a concept better? How can I explain a concept to a teacher so that they can go on and explain it to their students better? I feel like is really rewarding. So I'm glad that Emily a few months ago made some good decisions.
Yeah, so I guess my way of getting into it, I offhandedly mentioned a bit earlier, but I'm in a club that does some tutoring using CS Academy. I actually missed a 112 TA, or I didn't miss, I didn't get a 15112 TA position, the class you was just talking about. And I was like, all right, well, I went to the club fair earlier. I saw this thing, tech knowledge, tutoring using whatever this is. Low-key thought it was paid, but it turns out it's volunteer stuff. But also volunteer stuff is, I mean, I've always been, like in high school, I did not necessarily tutoring, but it has been like an important part of my life. So I stuck with it anyways. And I'm glad I did, because yeah, like just that club itself is like pretty rewarding, teaching people that wouldn't otherwise have access to this education, how to code. And then working on this project has allowed me to do a lot of creative stuff that I otherwise at any other position at CMU wouldn't get. If I had gotten that TA position, then I'd just be grading papers mostly. So yeah, getting to draw koalas is pretty fun stuff.
Yeah, so for me, the way I actually found out about CS Academy was literally just, I was like, finding internships is really hard. And I was just struggling to find an internship. Also, partially because I didn't have a confidence to like apply to a lot of things. I was like, I don't know how to do anything. But anyway, so like when I was our advisor sent out like a list of opportunities for us like every semester, and on that list was CS Academy. And I was like, wait, hold up, this is actually, I didn't know this was even a thing. And I was like, this is so cool, because even before like college, I've always been really interested in like education and like almost like making education interesting and fun. And like when I found out about CS Academy, I was like, wait, hold up. And I was looking at the platform and I'm like, wait, this is actually cool and this is actually fun. And like it's also like teaching CS and it's also free. That's another big part of it for me, was like the fact that this is something that's accessible to like anyone is a really big part that like really made me like want to work on it, because I was like, this is actually really meaningful work, and like helping other people learn CS, especially nowadays, is important, because even if you're not doing like CS software development, it's still pretty useful in a lot of different things. Like even in my animation class, they're like, yeah, nowadays you kind of need to know like a little bit of like coding to like still like even just for like animation and whatnot. So yeah. And there's also the fact that like another reason why I really liked it though was like like after I took my really fun freshman year CS course, I moved up to APCSA, and I was so bored. It was basically just like, I forgot what we went over, but like there wasn't any like fun visuals or anything anymore. Like all it was just like math and strings and all that, and it's important stuff. It's good stuff to learn. But I was like, wow, maybe CS is not actually interesting. And I almost after that was like, maybe I should not go into this path. But then I was like, oh wait, no, there's still interesting things, so it's okay. But like that's why like it kind of made me sad in the fact that there are people who probably are starting with this type of course that like isn't really that entertaining, but and like doesn't really show like all that CS can do and like is involved in. It's not just like math and like solving these random formulas or whatever that you're like, why is this helpful even? There's like so much more to it. And that's why like in CS Academy it was like, hey, we're making exercises that are like interesting and like you can really look at it and be like, I made this and like I can show other people and this is like a cool thing that I've done. And that's why I was like, I felt like this would be a really good way to like start running CS and be engaged in like all of that. So like, yeah, that's my long spiel of why I joined CS Academy.
Now that you've said why you joined CS Academy, can you expand upon your favorite part about working on CS Academy?
Yeah, so the first time I had to answer this question, I was like making the content, but then I realized like I think I haven't done this a whole lot, but like working with the teachers directly was like really like rewarding for me. Like I know that last I don't even know. So the summer before this summer, if that makes any sense, that's my first time I was on here. Like we all participate in these PD things where like we would work with teachers and help like them like learn about CS and make sure they're like confident in teaching CS Academy stuff. And like at first I was like terrified of those, but like being able to like help the people there was like really fun. And it was also like really cool to like find these different ways to explain things to like make it make sense. And then like later on in the summer, me and my other friend Amy, we got to like she was also on the project at the time. We got to like go and even teach the actual like sessions about like the actual content as well as just answer questions. And we had so much fun with that because like we would just like interplay and be like, so we'd be like, oh, are there any questions? And then like sometimes we would ask questions, it'd be great. But sometimes no one would say anything. So like, you know what? We'll ask each other questions. So I would just full on just be like, hey, Amy, why is this thing true? And she's like, well, I think it's code this. And then we just had lots of fun with it. And then like I think the teachers also enjoyed it. So that was really great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have a pretty similar answer, so I don't know how much I have to expand upon it. Like content's been really enjoyable, but also PD's been surprisingly enjoyable. I guess the one thing that I can add on is just definitely with things being Zoom based. Another draw to the PD is just the random Zoom shenanigans that can happen. People forgetting their mics are on at bad times. Also, at the end of one meeting that we had, what exactly happened? There was like, it was orchestrated by like some organization. I don't know. It was during the South Carolina PD, and they just wanted a picture of all the participants at the end. But the guy who came to take the picture did not announce it, so nobody was prepared. So there was this one lady with her camera off, and she was still the only one with her camera off. And he was just like, "Yo, you ready?" And she's like, I'm still taking my curlers out. Please give me a second." So I don't know. Just PD has definitely been a more fun experience than I thought it was going to be going in.
I'm just going to sound like a broken record on top of it. I really liked PDs. It was very stressful because I'm a 19-year-old who has no professional teaching experience, and then I have to get up in front of a bunch of teachers and tell them about our curriculum. So a bit jarring and a bit difficult, but I think it's so nice to like put like faces to names. Sometimes we see tickets or questions from the same teachers. It's just really, really nice to interact with the people using our curriculum. And yeah, we have Zoom shenanigans. Like we had a recent PD, and it wasn't really shenanigans, but just a teacher was telling us about exercises she was trying to make from scratch in Sandbox and how much fun she was having with it. Like how even though she wasn't a student, but she would just like get lost in making these exercises for fun. She was like, oh, I can't wait for my students to, do this with creative tasks. And I don't think you can get that with just I guess a lot of jobs, just like literally seeing positive impacts you're making and knowing that after these PDs, these super passionate teachers are going to turn around and share this passion with their students. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, we got two more questions we'll do today. So the first one is, Lisa already touched on this a little bit, but expanding a little bit more on why learning to code is important, even if you don't want to become a programmer or work with computers really that much. Why is it potentially very helpful?
I think that's a really good question. And I feel like as someone who really, really opposed learning coding, I think that coding has a really exciting problem solving portion to it that I don't think a lot of other classes can provide, at least not until very, very late in like high school or college. All of the STEM classes, they are pretty formulaic. Physics, you learn formulas. Biology, you learn concepts. Chemistry, you learn reactions. Math, you learn. It seems very sequential. A lot of things are handed to you, and it's not to say that those classes aren't hard. They're just using a different part of your intelligence, I guess. But coding is so bizarre. It's like learning Italian and then being told to like communicate your favorite like philosophy author to some random Italian. Like it's just so weird that you have to pretty much like learn a language literally and then like problem solve with it. But that's the entire premise of coding. And problem solving will carry you so far. Like the one thing I learned in coding is what I like to call, or I guess other people like to call, like spaghetti code, like just throwing things at a wall and seeing what'll stick long enough to like solve like a little bit of the problem. And that'll take you very far. Like in jobs, in life, in everything, you'll just have that little extra patience, that ability to throw that one extra handful of spaghetti at the wall until you get that answer. And it's done in such a bizarre way. You really have to like wrap your brain around such bizarre concepts. So then someone else puts like a weird portfolio on your desk in whatever job you end up doing, and you just have to teach it all to yourself and start throwing spaghetti whatever is against a wall. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say one reason that it like, I guess appeals over other fields is like just that it's so versatile, computer science. I mean, so like if you like, I don't necessarily think everybody should like computer science or that everybody will like computer science, but I think everybody should try to see if they do, just because if you do, it's something you can apply to your other passions as well. So like if you take a chemistry course and you don't like it, then that just means, okay, I don't like chemistry. If you do like it, then that's kind of like niche compared to CS, where you can apply it to, if you like chemistry and CS and music and arts, CS just complements all of those things, is why I think it's like important compared to other subjects, I guess, to learn. So like not everybody's gonna like it. I don't think that's something that we should be like, I don't know, enforcing, is that everybody should like coding, but everybody should at least see if they do, because if you do, then yeah, it's gonna help with everything else you do.
Yeah, I guess like kind of to supplement as well, like I think computer science above anything else is a tool, or rather like the act of programming, because it's basically something that like allows you to, I don't know how to say it, but like it can be used in very different ways in a lot, like as I mentioned, a lot of different fields, and like as a result, it's just like a useful tool to have in your toolbox, even if like that's not something like you're going to like do in like what you want to do like on a day-to-day basis. It's just like that means that like if someone else, if there's a small issue going on, then like you could potentially like solve it, especially because like there's like technology and a whole lot of stuff nowadays, because especially because like, you know, internet of everything and all of the technology around, like then being able to have this understanding, at least also, okay, yeah, there's like it allows you to like solve things, but there's also the idea of communication, like being able to communicate with various different like types of people is kind of important, and like understanding programming like allows you to also connect with like the technical side. It allows you to see like know like what is possible versus what isn't possible, even if you're like for instance, if you're in the arts and you're working with someone else on something, you would then know like, hey, this is probably something that that should be possible. Can we work together? And like you'll have some understanding of what's actually happening. And like even if you're like doing agriculture or something, there's still like technology involved, and like that's why I think coding is just a very useful like tool to have, even if you're not doing that as your primary thing that you do. So.
All right. The last thing, last question for today. We're just gonna quickly go through and state your favorite CS Academy exercise. So let's hear it.
Wait, hold up. I forgot my answer to this question. Okay, I think the eyeballs, because I just like playing with it and watching my mouse cursor move and all the eyeballs following it, which is in CS1, I think Unit 8 or something like that. But yeah, eyeballs.
Yeah, I think I made it pretty clear that Koala is just indisputably the best CS Academy exercise. Y'all should peep it.
At least you're not biased about it. I'm gonna say the buggy exercise. It's like you have two little, I think, bumper cars. Oh, I shouldn't throw the word buggy around. I'll get in trouble. It's the two bumper car exercise, and you like program to like them to interact with each other and then like score. It's really fun.
Awesome. Yeah, and koalas are pretty cute, Gavin. I don't know. Might have to agree. All right. Thank you everybody for coming and listening to our Q&A. We are having 3 more every day this week. So 9:30 to 10:30, 1:30 to 2:30, and then 5:30 to 6:30 every day this week. Thank you to our panelists, Lisa, Emily, and Gavin. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.